Okay, so here we go. So right now we're going to talk about some Black Friday deals because here in the US and some other countries, it was Thanksgiving yesterday, and after Thanksgiving, it is Black Friday where people go and buy a lot of things that they don't need, or sometimes they do need. My wife right now is out shopping and I'm at home with the kids, so you may hear that in the background. This is going to be a very short video. I'm going to go through about 10 different deals that I found for Black Friday, share those with you, and yeah, so here we go. So starting off here is a Manfrotto video head. This is a fluid head for only $135. This is actually a very good fluid head. I own this one. There's some content on my channel about it, matter of fact, as well. Very good, supports a lot of weight, and for this price, I mean, you really can't lose. Moving on. Then we have the Lexar 128 gigabyte card. This is a V60 card, and V60 is going to let you do like 4K heavy codecs, and you shouldn't really have an issue with that. They should be able to record no problem. And the price there you see is only $29.99. I mean, that's really good. And then you got one $42.49. This is a double pack of 64 gigabyte cards. So I don't know, if you have two cameras, let's say you don't need a ton of length to what you're recording or whatever, you can buy two of these, $42.49. They're still V60, and they're going to do what I just said. Now moving forward, this one's only V30, a Lexar. And I know what I just said, like, oh yeah, you can record, you know, heavy codecs to that one, but V30, just to put it in perspective, I own this exact card. This card is going to record a ton of footage on it. I have like 5 different weddings that I've recorded on one of these cards. This is from the Sony a6600, and you know, the codecs on there are like 50 megabits per second and 100 megabits per second, depending on if you're shooting in 4K. And I mean, you could just fit a ton of footage on it, so it's really nice to have. Plus, these have an added benefit because they're micro cards. So now it's not just using it in a camera, but you could use it in like a drone or a action cam or something. So you have that flexibility as well for $39.99 for 512. I mean, that's really good. And then moving on here, we're on the 5th thing, and I said there's going to be about 10. This is the Sony 35mm f1.8. This is for APS-C, so that's going to work for something like that. So Sony a6600 I mentioned, or Sony a6400, or any of the 6000 series cameras, as well as the FX30, the new cinema camera that they made. This will work for that as well, and it's only $373 for 35mm f1.8. Now my son's about to disturb me. No. 1 second, babe. Okay, sorry about that. And moving on, then you have the 35mm f1.4. This is the G Master. So this is for full frame. So that's why it's so much more money, and it's f1.4, so it's a little faster, meaning it's a better low light lens, get a little brighter, more shallow depth of field. So this one's $12.98. It's $100 off if you're into full frame. Now moving on to my next 5, or actually 7, because there's some extras in there. Saving that one. All right, so here we go with more lenses. This is the Sony PowerZoom 10-20 f4 lens, again for APS-C. Now I really like PowerZoom lenses, especially if you're using it on something like the FX30, where you can control the zoom with your thumb, or you could use a little, you know, you could use a little rocker on the side right there. They work really well. And this right now is $648, $100 off. I'm sure this is a great lens. I have not used this one, to be honest. I have the 18 to 105 PowerZoom, which I love. So this might be on my wish list eventually too. But I'm cheap as hell. I'm probably not gonna buy that this season. I got too much crap that I don't use already. Let's move on. Now check this out, man. You get a GH6, not for $100 off. Not for $200 off, not for $300, $500 off right now for the GH6. So that's you know, $1697. Everybody knows the GH series of Panasonic cameras. I mean, they're video cameras, man. Video cameras in a Look at all these damn notifications. Video cameras and a mirrorless camera body. So you can't really go wrong. You got image stabilization in there. You got all the 10-bit 422 codecs that you want. You got anamorphic shooting. Come on, man. You got super slow motion. Everything is in this camera. So if you've been on the fence about getting the GH6 and that's something you're into, you might want to get off that fence right now and get it. And staying on the Panasonic line, if you're more into full frame, you have the Lumix S5, which is also on sale. $500 off for this thing. So this is full frame camera, so you can get better low light performance, more shallow depth of field and whatnot. And plus, this also has the 4K shooting modes, 4K 60. It has image stabilization built in, which does really, really well. So this is a really powerhouse of a camera that they're giving away $500 less. Okay, so let's move on here. I think I'm actually missing one too, but let's move on here. $79.99, okay, for the Magnus VT350. Now, this is a very old tripod. Fun fact, the very first YouTube episode that I ever shot was about this tripod, and this was, I don't know, 6 years ago, and I still have it. It's only $80 right now. It's normally $100. And you're like, I don't want this cheap tripod. And I was saying the same thing when I got mine, but it's lasted this long. I mean, it's really not bad. And you can't find a lot of tripods that do this. Go up to 82 inches. That's over, well, just close to 7 feet, over 2 meters. That's pretty crazy for something so cheap. So if you're shooting live events and you need to get over the crowd, this is one of those tripods that's going to help you do that. And it has a 15-pound limit. So that's going to cover most of the smaller mirrorless cameras that I use. So it's not a problem for me. And I'm sure most of you also, if you're looking at something that's $80, it's probably going to cover your camera needs. So take a look at that, man. It really isn't bad. And it's a fluid head too. It is a fluid head, and it's not a bad one. And then also the FeelWorld F6 touchscreen, which I've done some content on that on my channel as well. I've owned this thing for probably about 3 years. When I bought it, it was $230. Right now it's $154.99. So if you are thinking about getting a monitor, I mean, this one's a good size. And it has the touchscreen, which I really like. The touchscreen works so well. You can just touch on things you need instead of fiddling with buttons and all this other stuff that you can't see. So you can use buttons. It has some buttons. It has some customizable buttons and touchscreen. I really recommend it. It's good. And I think, all right, so here's a bonus one. This is a Panasonic Lumix 100 to 400 f4 to 6. Now this is probably going to be good for you people that like wildlife stuff. You're already cropped because you're shooting with a Micro Four Thirds camera, and then you put on a lens like this. It's really like a 200 to 800. So this is going to get you those wildlife shots or sport shots and stuff like that too. And right now you're saving $200 on it, so that's pretty good. And that pretty much wraps it up